Hey, ladies, I am Sharon Holmes, and I'd like to welcome you to the She Shines podcast, where our goal is always to empower you to embrace every facet of who you are, girl. We want to help you develop a beautiful balance for your life, and then above all, to encourage women everywhere to simply shine. This is what we do, so hey, let's just do it, right? So today I want to talk about something that has great potential to paralyze your plans or to stop you in your tracks. I want to talk about something today that has the potential to put the kibosh on your happiness. Something that can totally derail your entire life if you allow it to. We've got to talk about being hurt today. I've seen it so many times, and it's thrown so many women off course, myself included. And it changes how we view other people. It changes how we view life and situations, and hurt happens. So let's just talk about it. Let's just get in there, talk about it, and see if we can learn a little bit. We'll share together, right? So anybody who knows me knows that I love gospel music. I remember growing up, I used to listen to, this was before I could actually purchase music. I used to listen to the Clark sisters, the Winans, and the Hawkins on my sister's stereo. This is one of those huge monsters that used to sit in your living room, and you had to be careful. Although you were clapping and hollering and moving and jumping, you had to be careful that you didn't accidentally bump the needle and scratch the entire record. But we used to listen to those albums. And then for diehard gospel fans, there was Douglas Miller, who was like a huge choir person. And then Andre Crouchwell, we don't even need to get into that. I mean, just a giant. And then by the time the 90s hit, when I was in my heyday, we were at a whole new level. So we had BB and CC who were doing gospel love songs. What? Grandma would have had a fit. But gospel love songs from BB and CC in the 90s, oh my God, I Owe Love, all that stuff. I used to listen to it. Fred Hammond came out, and I mean, RFC groups, choirs was just the bomb. And then the revolution. Kirk Franklin, right? Anybody who does not know Kirk Franklin, I have to ask, like, what rock are you hiding under? Whether you are a Christian or not, like, everybody's heard of him and has danced to his music at some point or another. And then one of my favorites kind of came out maybe early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, Mary Mary and Marvin Sapp. Never would have made it. You know, I tried to, get my little vocals on when that came out, because everybody could feel that song. It was gospel music that kind of put, gave you that little extra uplift and that little feeling. And so maybe now is a good point to just take a moment and free myself. My name is Sharon Holmes, and I'm a gospelholic. So anyway, I was on social media one day, and me being a gospel music lover, things that talk about gospel music and artists kind of catch my attention. So I started seeing tons of posts about one of the newer gospel artists. I mean, she's an amazing vocalist, really great singer, and the way she got her start was truly amazing as well. And it was just like social media completely exploded. So I was trying to figure out what happened. Like, I knew something big had happened. I knew something not favorable had happened, but I was trying to figure out what it was. And so long story short, I went and did, let me call it research. So I went on Facebook and I found out that there was a huge fiasco that was involving this gospel singer. And she was deeply hurt by an encounter that she had with another gospel singer who's very respected in the industry. I mean, this guy is an industry giant. So whatever exchange was had, she was really hurt by it. And then she went in the aftermath of that, while she was in her feelings, she went and did this Facebook Live video. And when she did the Facebook Live video, I went found it. It was about 30 minutes long. She ranted about the entire situation. And not only was she upset with this particular gentleman, but this encounter kind of colored her view of everything. And so she's at this point kind of at the height of it, and she's ranting about it. And she was expressing, how she was feeling. She was hurt. She was disappointed. She felt like she had been hung out to dry. And I get that, again, hurt happens. So I definitely get that. But the machine that is social media, right? So this little thing, or this instance that happened, sparked a very huge debate. So some people came on her Facebook Live post and they validated her experience. They were like, yeah, I've been there too. I know, things have happened and all of that. And then other people disagreed. They're like, well, that shouldn't have bothered you. They kind of really victimized the victim a little bit. And then other people were saying, well, we get that you're hurt, but we really don't like the way that you expressed that. We would have preferred you have handled the situation differently, because unfortunately it was a really massive debacle and costed her some upcoming performances and things like that. Now, I didn't get caught up in the whole debate. I didn't debate it on my page with anyone. I didn't, put out a video on it or anything like that, because your girl right here minds her own business, okay? So I didn't get caught up into all of that, but I did read a bunch of the comments, right? And so I couldn't resist. I had to read. I had to hear what people were saying. And so what I noticed was that people were beginning to share their stories about how they had been hurt. They were, expressing some real anger, some issues that had happened like 10 and 15 years ago, and they were still upset about it. And then some people made jokes about their, past hurt or past pain, and they, I admit that some of it was amusing, but at the end of the day, there's a little bit of truth in every joke. And that right there was not funny to me at all, because I realized even though they were joking about it, that was one more in the tally count of people who were actually hurting. And so after all of the things that I read, after all of my research, the thing that stood out to me was that people are living with some deep hurts that have never been healed. In fact, I'd be willing to say that all of us have experienced some kind of hurt in our lives that we may not have gotten over yet. It may not be something that we think about every day or that's at the top of our minds every moment, but somewhere down in there, there's some pain that we really haven't dealt with, that we've experienced along the way. What happens to it, is there, but what happens to it if we don't deal with it? And so, ladies, I'll be honest, and I'll be the first to tell you that I've been hurt in a relationship before. We don't like to admit it. We don't like to talk about it. But yeah, there are some guys out there who have broken our hearts. There are some things, some situations that we've been in, and they didn't end up the way we wanted them to. And that relationship left a scar. And sometimes our hurt comes from family members, intentionally or unintentionally. Now, let's hope that they don't intentionally mean to hurt you. But even still, if they don't mean it, hurt still happens within the family. And I've even had some friendships go wrong. Great girlfriends. Everything started out really well. Even some of them lasted for several years, but then seems like one thing happens and the whole friendship just goes left. It just does not work out. And you end up with scars even from friendships. And many of us have been hurting the church. Whoa, long. Yeah, church hurt is real and it does exist. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't, but I'm just going to say that is an entirely different show for a different day. But we as women, we feel deeper. We feel that hurt, and it doesn't matter where it comes from, but we really do feel the hurt and the pain that happens as a result of our relationships and altercations that we experience in our lives. And if you're like me, if you're not afraid to be honest, then you know what? I'm going to make it easy on you, because I know that it's difficult to talk about the types of pains that we experience. I know that that's something that you don't share with everybody. So I'm not going to ask you to share with me your pain. I'm just going to ask you to go to the Facebook group, search for She Shines Podcast. Go to the group. Join the group, and then I want you to drop me a GIF or an emoji that lets me know that I'm talking to the right folks. Let me know that you know what I'm talking about and you feel me for real. Because I know I've been there, and even though I think I'm a strong woman and all of that, it doesn't take any of that away from me to say that I have been hurt and I've experienced real pain. And even in thinking about it, it's like a physical injury. Like the time you scraped your knee. I know when I was a kid, I had 7 stairs. I still remember 7 concrete stairs on my house on the south side of Chicago. And running up and down those stairs, I would do it all the time, fall, and I would skin my knee. That's what my mother called it. You skinned your knee again? And when I would do it, I would stop. The first thing I would do, it was like a video, you could replay it every time, right? So I would sit down and I would check it out and look at it. First, I'm looking to see if it's some blood there. I want to see, probably how much attention I could milk from it. But anyway, I would check it out to kind of see how bad it was. And then my favorite part, I get to put a Band-Aid on it. Now, let me tell you, a Flintstone Band-Aid could fix my whole life when I was a kid. If it had Flintstones on there or Peanuts characters, I was automatically delivered. I don't care how serious the injury was. I probably could have broke my arm. You give me a Bambi Band-Aid and I'd be good to go. But I would get myself a Band-Aid and Mama would let me put it on. She would, if she look at it and it looks bad enough, then she let you put on a Band-Aid. And then eventually I go back to the playground. I go back outside and play with my friends like nothing ever happened. That's cool, right? I got hurt. I got a Band-Aid. I was strong enough to just put the Band-Aid on there. And after that, I was fine, right? Well, here's the truth. The truth was that it was fine until something happened that ripped the Band-Aid off. It was fine until something opened back up that wound. And if I saw blood, baby, bye. Let me tell you, I was having a fit again, all over again. I needed to go through the whole 9 yards because I'm hurting and somebody needs to know. And I've discovered that we treat emotional hurt the very same way. We really are. And I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but as women, we really do still have that little girl inside. And we treat our emotional pain very similarly to how we treated our physical pain as children. The first thing we do is we check it out. Let me see how bad this is. And we even compare it, boy. We will have a session where we sit down and cleanse our soul and compare our hurt. My hurt to your girl, you don't know how he did me. But if you could have known how I felt when he said, and we will just lay that hurt out there because we want to see how bad is the hurt and how bad is my hurt compared to everybody else's hurt. But then eventually we come to a point where we're ready to slap a Band-Aid on it. Now, your Band-Aid might be denial. I'm just not going to think about it. But the truth is, you really can't stop thinking about it. Like you wake up mad from the day before, or you think about it when you get real, real tired and you're ready to go to bed and go to sleep, and that thing cross your mind and it's like you just had 12 cups of coffee, like I'm up and I'm ready to go. Your Band-Aid might be complaining about it for a few hours or a few days or a few weeks or a few years. We complain, and that becomes a Band-Aid for us to help to cover up those issues that we face. Some of our Band-Aids is simply a mean mug. Like we will mean mug you for real so that you won't really see how deeply we've been damaged. But the thing about women is how resilient we are. Eventually, we're going to go back to life as usual, and we're going to act like that hurt never happened. I'm good. Like, haven't you ever said that? How you doing, babe? I'm good. Oh, I'm fine. Now, that's a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. If you ever hear a woman say, oh, I'm fine, then no, she's not fine. She may not be able to tell you right now how unfine she is, but she's not fine. And so we say, I'm fine. And we go back to our life as usual. And we are as fine as we can be until something rips that band-aid off. Until somebody, maybe who has had the same type of hurt that we've had, surfaces, and then all over again, it comes up real fresh. Like you ain't been with this dude in 10 years, but then when she gets hurt, it reminds you of what happened. You're long past it, but it comes back up. Somebody might say something that triggers your pain. You weren't even thinking about it. It wasn't even something that you've even given thought to in the last 5 years, but something somebody else says becomes a trigger, and then all of these emotions that maybe you didn't even have time to deal with it at the time, they start to come up because you've been triggered. And then like that gospel artist, we find ourselves bleeding all over the place. We bleed all over ourselves and all over other people in our relationships. Now, what do you mean bleeding, Sharon? Like, come on, like really? Yeah, well, the blood really does show up. It shows up as anger, sometimes inappropriate anger, where something was said and it wasn't really major, but the reaction to it, your reaction, my reaction, is major anger. That's bleeding. It may show up as resentment. It may even show up as trust issues, like you can't really trust anyone to do what they said they're going to do or to be who they said they are. You might meet a new guy and you can't accept his love because you're waiting for him to hurt you just like the last guy did or the guy did 10 years ago. And what happens is we end up making the new guy pay for the mistakes of the old guy, mistakes they haven't even made yet, hopefully, but it's all because we're bleeding because we're in pain. Another female might compliment you on your hair or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything specific. And sometimes we can't even take a compliment because we think she's throwing shade in some undercover way, and not being able to just trust that when she says you cute, she really means you look cute and I want that outfit too. We just can't get through some of the trust issues that are brought about because we have unresolved hurt. And then sometimes what I've noticed is that when we are in emotional pain, just like when we're in physical pain, you have to compensate for that injury in some type of way so that you keep that disability from showing and to keep yourself from being vulnerable. And for women, sometimes we get mean. Oh my gosh, we become mean girls. We develop this hard shell so people won't be able to see the soft spot or the spot where we're hurting. And we'll put up a wall. We will build Fort Knox to keep people out of our tender places because we don't want anybody to know where our vulnerability lies. And it's really crazy that the toughest women, the women that seem like they don't need anybody or anything, are probably the softest women. But they're trying to compensate for that hurt so that they don't get hurt again. And they throw up these walls or they become mean girls when they really don't have to be. Sometimes the bleeding even shows up physically. Physical symptoms of emotional pain might be headaches, migraine headaches, and just no idea where this stuff is coming from. No medical reason why you should be queasy every day. There's no bun in the oven. There's no sickness or whatever. But when certain situations happen, you're just queasy. Ulcers, just all kinds of stuff that will show up in our daily lives as a result of anger and as a result of hurt. All of these things, I think sometimes about hurt as being a primary emotion and maybe anger as being a secondary emotion. We'll usually show you the anger, but it's really to cover that primary emotion of hurt. And I know getting over it is kind of easier said than done. I'll give you that. And I'm not telling you that it's going to be easy, but what I am telling you is that it has to be done. We have to begin to heal from some of those hurts. Why? Well, it's mine. I've been this way so long. Why can't I hold on to it? The reason is because it's hard to progress past your place of hurt. When we experience deep hurts, many times we will stop growing right there because it's hard to progress past that part of our lives. And so we find ourselves stuck in the same position, stuck in the same types of relationships, stuck in the same types of situations over and over again. They repeat themselves because we've made ourselves hostages of our own memories, and we've made ourselves hostages to the pain that we've experienced. So you're listening and you're saying, Sharon, yeah, girl, you're right. I have been hurt, but I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to get past this pain. I don't want my past hurt to stop me. I don't want it to derail me. Above all, I don't want it to make me lose my focus. There's so many things I want in life, and I don't want this pain to put a period on my purpose. I've got a lot of things to do, and I don't want to miss out on those new relationships, on those new friendships, on those new opportunities because somebody in my past did me wrong or caused me to be hurt. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the first step together. I don't care where you are. You could be at home, you could be in your car, you can be in the office. It doesn't matter if you're in the office. Please don't scream this. Just repeat this after me in a calm and clear voice. My hurt won't hold me hostage. My hurt won't hold me hostage. As a matter of fact, they say that if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So let's put it in writing. I want you to stop what you're doing, go and search for the She Shines podcast Facebook group and subscribe. And when you subscribe, you're going to be able to see a meme. It says, my hurt won't hold me hostage. I'm doing half the work for you. I'm putting it in writing for you. All I need you to do is to share that meme and let the world know. Make your declaration. Make it today that you are not going to let the pain of your past hold you hostage. How do you get free? The first thing is to acknowledge that you want to be free. And when you do this, this is going to start that process for you. This is going to start that process for me where we can let go of these things and we can move forward and actually get some momentum going. Yes, girl, we're breaking free today. We are not going to let something ugly dull our shine. So, sister to sister, let me just be honest and frank with you. Nothing can derail you faster than unhealed hurt. And hurt that is never dealt with will never heal. And this is how I kind of see it in my head. When you've been hurt, whatever point you've been hurt at, and you try to walk away from that hurt, it's like dropping an anchor right there and then walking away. You'll get so far, but then that rope that's anchored to that hope will end up pulling you back. And the only way to lift that anchor is to heal the hurt. So our goal is healing. Healing is the goal. We've got to heal those hurts instead of just abandoning them and walking away. We've got to learn how to heal that hurt. And so I want to just give you some tips on how to deal with that hurt so it can heal and so you can move forward. And I'm really curious to understand or to know what you think about these. So definitely, as you're listening, if thoughts pop into mind, don't hesitate to share those with me. So my first tip is this. Give yourself time to process your feelings. And I say this because some hurts have happened so long ago. I mean, some of them even from when we were children, like our big sister or big brother said something and it really hurt us. And when we've gotten to be adults, it still might show up as self-esteem issues or whatever. But you never really took the time to stop and process your feelings, to process that pain. Because pain is so painful, you really didn't want to deal with it. So now you may need to go back, give yourself some time to actually process that pain, whatever it was, whatever stage in your life it happened, whether it was a bad breakup or whether it was a disappointment, by your children or your parents or loved ones or whatever it was, you may need to stop and take time and just process those feelings. Just think it through with the benefit of all of the knowledge you have acquired in between the time when you were actually hurt and now, because you've grown as a woman by now. And so just give yourself the benefit of all of that knowledge. You can apply that to what happened to you at 5 years old and just give yourself some time to process those feelings. Another thing that I find helpful is simply to just assess the situation, because some hurts have happened years ago. Some of them are happening right now. But what I found out is that every situation does not require an immediate response. Like as soon as it happens, may not be the time for you to address it. So take a deep breath, gather your thoughts. It's okay not to respond at the trigger. Just take a moment, and this will help you when you do respond. When you are ready to respond, your response will be more rational. It will be more well thought out, as opposed to coming from a place of anger and frustration. Because one thing that I know about anger and frustration is that they rarely lead to healing. They do lead to emotional releases, and you can go off and you can, get somebody told. But very seldom does frustration and anger lead to healing. So you definitely want to just give yourself time to assess the situation before responding immediately. Kind of think that thing through and see, what is your end game before you ever respond. And as hard as it is, this one is going to be a tough one. Just tell you up front, this one is tough. Reject the urge to get revenge. When we have been hurt, we want somebody else to hurt. If you cause me pain, I want to cause you pain. If you slap me, turn the other cheek, I want to slap you back. I'm sorry. I hopefully won't do it, but I want to because I've been hurt. And so I want you and I to resist and reject the urge to get revenge. And I'm going to tell you a little secret about that. The secret is that you will never be able to make somebody else feel the magnitude of your pain. You'll never be able to make them hurt as deeply as you are hurt. You'll never be able to get them to fully understand the depth of your pain, because it didn't happen to them, it happened to you, and we personalize our pain. So you're going to forever be thinking of ways to punish them because their pain will never equal yours. And I'm just going to ask you to take my word for that. You may not have experienced it, but please reject the urge for revenge, because you will never make them pay the price for how you feel. And then there is some time, I know earlier I said that we want to wait before we respond. We may not want to respond immediately, but there is action that may need to occur. And so I want you to determine an appropriate course of action. Appropriate course of action. So sometimes it's as simple as communicating that something hurt you. I can walk past you 20 times and step on your foot, but if I don't feel it, if I don't feel that I'm stepping on you, then I won't know. You can be mad all day, but if I don't know I'm hurting you, then I am not able to be held responsible for hurting you. So it may be simply communicating and saying, you know what, sis, when you said this, I felt this. Not accusing somebody, you made me feel, but when you said this, I felt this. Or when this happened, I felt this way. And even opening the door up, many times you'll find out in communicating that the situation can be resolved much more easily than you thought it could. I found very few situations that cannot be made at least a little better by communicating. And sometimes the most appropriate thing is also the hardest thing to do. Sometimes we simply need to forgive. Even if the other person doesn't ask for it, sometimes we need to just forgive, because forgiveness really is not for them, it's for you. This is what helps to lift that anchor and let you walk away free so you can move on. It helps you to reclaim the power of your own thoughts and feelings because you're laying in bed awake at night thinking about what somebody did to you. And chances are, newsflash, that person is sleeping just fine. And so we need to find out how to deal with that hurt. And sometimes that is through forgiveness. I've heard it said so many times, and I can't even tell you who said it because it's attributed to so many different people. But it's been said that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. How logical is that? Drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So just forgive them, even if they don't ask for it. Just forgive them. One thing that I found out that helps me to forgive is considering myself. I'm human. I have failures as well. And sometimes I think about whether I've ever hurt somebody in the same way that I've been hurt, intentionally or unintentionally. It's never my intention to hurt anyone. It really isn't. I really do come from a pure place. But I know as pure a place as I come from, that there are times when I unintentionally hurt people. And then understanding that hurt happens. It happens, and I don't have a monopoly on being hurt. Once you realize that we do not own the patent on being hurt, then it frees us to let it go. We don't have to hold it and protect it. We actually can let it go. And then here's a biggie, and I'm hoping that this is something that the She Shines podcast is allowing you to do, and that is to seek out a sister friend to help you. Don't forget that we have tons of sisters. We have tons of sisters in our lives, biological or chosen friends that have probably walked through exactly what we're going through right now. So why not talk to them? Why not grab a sister and let her help us to navigate these feelings so we can come to a place of healing? When I want to fly somewhere, I don't get in the cockpit. I don't fly. And so I let the pilot get in the cockpit and I'm just along for the ride so that I can get to my destination safely. If our destination is healing and my sister's been through it, you better believe I'm calling her phone. Now, not just anybody, but I want to be selective and find somebody who I know will treat my situation with confidentiality. But I don't want to become a prisoner by holding it in and all to myself. I definitely want to seek out a sister that I can talk to that will help me navigate these feelings so that I can land safely in a place of healing. So, hey, if you feel like that, and you may have sisters that do that for you, and this group hopefully is becoming that sisterhood where we can do that. So I want you to go to the She Shines podcast Facebook page. Go and join the Facebook group. Search for She Shines podcast, join up, and then I want you to share with me and our other sisters there. Tell us what has helped you to get past your pain, because what we go through is not necessarily only for us, but it's to help somebody else. So I've been giving some tips and I've got a few more, but I want you to go to that page and I want you to share what has helped you to get past the pain. Okay, so now, Sharon, I know we've been talking about, broken relationships and things like that, but what if my hurt is more serious than that? Like, what if I'm a victim of childhood sexual abuse? What if I am a rape survivor? What if I am facing a nasty divorce, or the divorce I went through has just like torn me completely down? What if I am in the middle of domestic violence or bullying? And bullying doesn't just apply to our teenagers, but what if I'm in the middle of this and I'm going through it right now? What if it's some other horrible trauma? Like, you're telling me all of these things, but will they really help me? Well, first, I have to tell you, if you're dealing with a very serious situation where there may be violence in your situation, let's just step back and take first things first. The first thing you want to do is try to remove yourself from harm if you can safely do so. The first thing is to just get out of harm's way as safely as you can. And then after that, we can deal with the hurt. We'll have time to deal with the hurt after we've done that primary thing, which is to remove ourselves from a place of harm. And then we can let healing begin. Well, how do we do that? You can seek professional help if you need to. Sometimes we think that asking for help is a sign of weakness, but you can't always do it alone. And it doesn't even have to be a major issue for us to go and talk to a therapist to just get some outside ears into what we're going through in our lives. You don't always have to do it alone. And thankfully, you do not have to. You have sisters, and then you have professionals that are able to walk you through some of the situations and help you to find that place of healing. And then finally, you want to give yourself time and permission to heal. You wouldn't expect if you broke your leg today that by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., you'd be walking into work with no crutches. There are residual effects of physical pain. There are residual effects of emotional pain. And the hurts we feel, there's some things that are going to come behind that. So give yourself the time that is necessary for you to recover. Now, it may take me a week and a half to get over the loss of a boyfriend, or it may take me, 2 days to get over a friendship that has gone astray or whatever. It may take you 2 weeks, and that's okay. Take the time that you need to recover, because remember, our goal is not to speed to the end. Our goal is to actually achieve lasting healing. And then when you do decide to let go of the pain and you've given yourself some time to recover, then understand that letting go of the pain does not mean that you're letting somebody else off the hook. The only person that you let off the hook when you decide to let go of the pain is you, my sister. You let yourself off the hook when you give up the pain. You are no longer responsible for having to stay awake at night. You're no longer responsible for having to carry this on your shoulders. When you let go of the pain, you free yourself. The other person did it. Yes, they did. And it was awful. And it never should have been done. But you are way too precious, girl. You are way too valuable to let anything, and I do mean anything, hold you back. And so we have to learn to come to a place of healing. So those are some tips that I've picked up along the way, and I hope that they're helpful to you. And then we're going to look at the comments that people leave and see, hey, Sharon didn't mention this, but hey, it's out there, and we can look at that and gather some healing, because we're sisters, and as sisters, we help one another. So I know that this was a somewhat heavy topic. So I have a very special message that I want to share with those of you who are in our sisterhood who are hurting. You've been through pain, whether it's past pain, whether it's present pain, it doesn't matter. Sharon, I'm hurting right now. I want to speak directly to you. So go to Facebook, search for the She Shines podcast, and I want you to join the group, subscribe, and look for the special message. I have a message directly for you. I want to talk to you. I want you to personally know that I've been there, and I want you to know I care about what you're going through. So definitely go to the She Shines podcast page and look out for that special message, because we are sisters. And as your sister, I intend to hold you up. And guess what? I won't let you be stuck. I'm coming out, and I want you to come out with me, okay? So you have been listening to the She Shines podcast, where the goal is, as always, to empower you to embrace every facet of who you are, to help you find that beautiful balance for your life, and above all, to encourage women everywhere to simply shine. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me today. And if you are one of my shining sisters and you want to see someone else shine too, share this podcast with them. Tell them to go and take a look at it and see what the special message is. And don't forget to go to the FB group and share that meme so that we can declare together that we will not be held hostage by our hurts. So remember, I'm your host, Sharon Holmes. Until next time, hurt happens, but it doesn't have to steal your shine. Shine on, girl.